Today I fricked up. Tracken says. Today I fricked up be drawing a mean, humiliating depiction of my sociology teacher. I feel, frick, I'm terrible. Today, I walked into class like always. The class is typically a really relaxed place. Our teacher, I'll call him Mr. Daniels, is very funny and pretty informal when it comes to banter with us. It felt like every normal day, being productive but also just cracking jokes and such. Our class is mature, we are a year from graduation, and it's a very welcome way to cool down when school's getting me stressed. Well, I got bored whilst waiting for other students to catch up on the worksheet we were doing. Taking a piece of paper, I began mindlessly doodling as always. I saw my teacher's side profile and began to try and draw. I'm not somebody who draws, by the way, so I ended up making his head pretty large and giving him a comically fat chin. I should just crossed it out and went back to doing whatever, but my buddy was sat next to me and I decided frick, ick now, time to be a comedian. I drew him with patchy stubble, a comically big nose, and a text bubble of him saying gooish instead of guys. I guess I was trying to be comical. My shitty masterpiece was done, and I just put it under my work for now, waiting for a moment to generate a few laughs amongst my peers and such. Eventually, Mr. Daniels is discussing something, and he's joking to a fellow classmate, so I stupidly hold up the drawing and go, hey, I did a portrait of you. He stopped. He looked. I anticipated a smile and a haha, what is that? He took the paper and told me to see him after class because a line had just been crossed. My stomach instantly dropped and I realized that I done, frick, it up and did so badly. The last few minutes of class went by and all my classmates started smiling and laughing as I remained seated, leaving me in the room with Mr. Daniels. And the worst part? I expected him to shout, to chew me out, which was obviously deserving of me drawing a humiliating picture of him. Like, come on, I'm supposed to be looking for college placements, and here I was doing this infantile garbage. He told me that out of everybody in the class, I was the last one on the list of people he thought would have done that for some peer validation. His voice never raised, just simply echoing that dull disappointed hum. He sighed and I said sorry probably 100 times. It felt like I'd regressed back to being a scared 8-year-old in the hallway of my elementary school after misbehaving, knowing that I deserved the full consequence of whatever actions were being aimed toward me. I'd never done this before. I got high off the atmosphere of the room, and I took having a little fun way too I'm far. He started asking me if I'd ever been picked on at my school. I answered yes, my voice cracking at points as I tried to restrict those 8-year-old schoolboy squire tears. Yes, I know, I'm almost 18, and I was breaking under the scrutiny of my teacher, but I felt this incomprehensible titan of sheer shame. He asked me questions like who I've got at home. I said just a mother, something he once relayed to the class too. He said my way of getting forgiveness from him was to try and work on getting some college applications out and reporting back to him on Monday. It feels like he may have felt bad for me. Maybe he saw himself in what I was telling him? But I don't feel at all deserving of any of it. He started cracking a smile telling me on which colleges to avoid, which would suck. All the meanwhile I still felt like utter shit. I struggled to see why he would reply to my mean-spiritedness with trying to help me. It's been a few hours. My classmates have all laughed it off. I feel I should be too. After all, Mr. Daniels told me he's not going to log any of this and was simply going to forget it happened. But I feel like I got off lightly for a stupid act. One that betrayed one of the only people in my school trying to make education less harrowing. I continue to feel like such a I'm asshole. Too long. Didn't read. I made a drawing of my teacher in which I made him fat and ugly, hurt his feelings, and the absence of any formal punishment makes me feel like I've got off lightly on such a mean-spirited act. Jeremiah Harriman says, sounds like you learned a valuable lesson and had a wonderful teacher who responded to it with love and kindness. You want to overcome this titanic feeling of shit? Emulate them. D. Therial says, instructions unclear. Sunk a ship, still feeling bad. Autistic Penguin 2 says, well, at least your dick isn't stuck in it. Right? Sacricide says, Teach cares about you, you should fill out some apps and tell him. I bet his face will light up instantly. Multiple Bananas says, you/track and yes, this was a foo by you. But this experience will stay with you for a long time, and it will make you a better person. I had a similar cringy experience, where I sent an angry email to a teacher. She set me straight in a kind and empathetic way, and over the years I've reached back out to her to thank her for, not just what she said in response, but how she said it. It takes a lot of maturity to not let insecurities make you act out in a destructive way. Some people never learn this lesson. Listen to your teacher's advice. Get those applications out. You're going to make him proud one day. Beatin says, this post reminds me of how well Big Mouth handled the shame wizard, where everyone thinks he is evil at first, and at times he is, but shame as a concept has incredible evolutionary purposes. This is the good kind of shame for Op to feel. That is the correct emotional response and they'll be better for it. Blissolda says, I think what you did is something that a lot of teenagers do, or might do, without thinking of the consequences for the person portrayed. Your teacher chose to teach you with compassion instead of shouting at you or punishing you. That is invaluable, and tells me he doesn't see you as a mean person, but as someone who made a mistake. Now you know, hopefully, not to do this to him or anyone else. Embrace the opportunity you were given. Remember, you don't know what other people have gone, or are going through, and I suspect your teacher may have been a victim of bullying himself. These things leave scars, and you don't know what can trigger traumatic memories. It seems this was it, but he reacted in a very mature and compassionate way, appealing to your own empathy. What a great teacher you have. D0Gen_41 says, 18-year-olds are most certainly not very mature. If I was close with my students, and I'm not a teacher BTW, I wouldn't mind a silly joke about me, whether the student made it for himself, his friends or me. Mora82 says, yeah, you're gonna remember this forever, dude. Be thankful you have a teacher who genuinely cares about your growth and development beyond the walls and years of your HS. Knowledge Technical 18 says, he sounds like a great guy. Maybe consider apologizing to him, if you haven't yet. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. I'd just emphasize that it wasn't personal at all, and that you actually really appreciate him. r/today I fricked up. Ocnefariousness5988 says, today I fricked up be contacting my representatives. And a follow-up foo. The update to this story actually happened today, but the first part is from a few months ago. So to start, I work as a federal security guard. I'm basically an armed guard on federal property. One of the buildings I work at, I learned had the office of 2 senators. As someone who was previously a political science major, I thought this was pretty cool, the thought of maybe someday randomly seeing a senator, even though I know they're in DC a lot. Another thing is that I kept hearing from coworkers that large city name was having a lot of drug overdoses, so it's something to look out for. People in the city have overdosed on our property, and it was becoming more common. I started to think about how our company was trained in CPR and first aid, but not specifically drug overdose and naloxone. So I had an idea. I put together a presentation for my company about the benefits of naloxone, the drug usage statistics in the city, and why I think our guards should have it on them. When I spoke to some higher ups about the fact that I had made the presentation, they immediately shot it down and said that there's no point in doing a presentation because it's an impossible ask anyways. To quote, honestly, it would probably take an act of Congress to change something that drastic. I dunno, contact your representatives. Bummer. A few weeks later, I was back at that building when I suddenly realized that I didn't even have to make a call/email, I could just go to the office to leave a comment. So, during my 10-minute break, I did. It took probably less than 5 minutes, and I gave my spiel to one of the senator's assistants through an intercom. Not sure why he didn't open the door, but that's how he took my comment. It was pretty basic, same concept. Hi, I'm a security guard that works here, and I thought it would be a cool idea if our security guards could be armed up with Narcan. Due to the increase in drug overdoses in the city, it would be beneficial if we could combat it and help people, much like we would do with CPR/first aid. 30-second pause. Okay. Thanks. I thought it was a weird pause, but I went back to my post, happy that I did my part as a citizen. I felt good about the cause. A couple of hours later, 2 federal officers that we work with approached me and asked to speak with me privately. I was a little scared that maybe I had accidentally intimidated the assistant by coming up there in uniform. IDK. They looked very stern. We were contacted and said that you went up to the senator's office, okay? Why did you say that you think all of the officers are on drugs and you feel unsafe with them being armed because they are all probably overdosing druggies? WHT. Huh. I was in complete disbelief. I explained what I had actually said and the officers relaxed and said, oh, okay, yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Unfortunately not even we've got Narcan, but it would be nice. Anyways. You'll be getting a call from your top boss. The email was sent to your entire chain of command. You'll be having a meeting with them soon. I was so mortified that I cried. Luckily, the post I was guarding was a closed room, so it didn't affect my job, even more lol. I just can't understand how my message got effed up that badly. I was trying to do a nice thing, skip ahead, I have the meeting, it's extremely embarrassing to have to explain that I'm not insane and have some kind of drug conspiracy theory about my coworkers. The end result is basically like, alright, you meant well, but maybe save trips to the senator's office for a day off. Do it on your own time, not when you're in uniform. I got off with no punishment because I didn't actually do anything wrong. It's just that the world's worst game of telephone had been played. But it was awkward. Fast forward to today. Months later. I'm on my first vape break of the day, saying hi to a coworker when he mentions that the other senator will be coming in today. That's awesome, do you know when? I'm just trying to see if I can catch a glance. It is a senator, after all. I know my boundaries though, don't go to their office of course, I won't even try to talk to them, they've got better things to do, I assume. But catching a glance would be cool, especially when it's right next to where I take my vape breaks. I asked if he'd let me know when they get there, in case it's my break time again. He says no problem, of course, it is pretty exciting. You might see where this is going. 3 hours later. It's getting closer to my break time again, so I call him and ask if they already came in, since I'll be taking my break soon. He says not yet, probably in a few minutes. Bummer. I might miss them, but oh well. 30 minutes later, I get a very accusatory call from one of my bosses. Boss, why are you trying to find out when the senator is arriving? Me, because it would be cool to catch a glance. I'm supposed to be taking my vape break soon, so I'll be outside. Don't go to their office. We've already talked about this. Me, I'm not going to their office. I know the rules. I meant just catching a peek when they drive in. since it's when I take my vape breaks B. Okay, but it's weird that you're trying to see a senator. Me, is it? If Joe Biden was coming through, wouldn't you think that was cool and try to sneak a peek? It's not weird, I'm just into politics B. Okay. Just don't be asking weird questions. Mind your business me. Okay. I didn't end up seeing the senator. Oh well. A couple of hours after that, one of the union reps comes in. What happened today? I explained, and it made sense to him. He understood. He then asked me, you know why our boss called, why it got weird? You want to guess who the other guard was standing next to when you called Ann? Asked if the senator was there yet? Our boss? Nope. Capitol Police. And they became very suspicious about why someone was calling and asking if the senator was there yet. They started asking a lot of questions. Once again, mortified. I'm just a fan, not planning something weird. Am I cursed? I have decided that from now on, I don't know any senators. What's a senator? Who? Never heard of them. I will run away, since I apparently have the worst luck. I'm not in trouble, because I didn't do anything, again, but I'm really annoyed by the implication, especially when it was all cleared up last time. I understand people can be crazy, but I'm not a rando. I specifically have a security clearance to work there. What ifs? I'll just go hide in a hole forever. Too long, didn't read, tried to be a good citizen by contacting my representative. The message got scrambled, and my company thought I was accusing them of crimes. It creates a weird tension. Months later, I hear the representative is coming into the building, try to catch a glance, and once. Good for a beer says. Waiting to hear how it goes next time you try to fly. Skaztastic says. That's quite the experience. Very entertaining read. I bet you're on all sorts of lists now. Atsukun_surprise says. It's a little creepy you want to see a senator so badly. It does come across a little weird. Mitwood says. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard today I fricked up be asking about a senator and getting fired update from this post. Spitter Fulham says. I understand people can be crazy, but I'm not a rando sounds exactly like something a crazy rando would say. Op, why don't you step into my office? That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.